Hello my cuties, how y'all doing today? Hope you're doing good on this Sunday. It is cold here in Texas. Feels like it's 20. Well, today's video has to do with the historical and infamous Salem Witch Trials. Now, the infamous Salem Witch Trials began during the spring of 1692 after a group of young girls in Salem Village, Massachusetts, claimed to be possessed by the devil and accused several local women of witchcraft. As the wave of hysteria spread throughout colonial Massachusetts, a special court convened in Salem to hear the cases. The first convicted witch, Bridget Bishop, was hanged that June. 18 others followed Bishop to Salem's Gallows Hill, while some 150 more were accused over the next several months, men, women, and children. By September 1692, the hysteria had begun to abate, and public opinion turned against the trials, though the Massachusetts General Court later annulled guilty verdicts and granted indemnities, clemency to their families. Bitterness lingered in the community, and the painful legacy of the Salem Witch Trials would endure for centuries. Now, belief in the supernatural, and specifically in the devil's practice of giving certain humans, witches, the powers to harm others in return for their loyalty, had emerged in Europe as early as the 14th century and was widespread colonial New England. In addition to the harsh realities of life in the rural Puritan era, in the community of Salem Village, present-day Danvers, Massachusetts, at the time included the after effects of a British war with France in American colonies in 1689. A recent smallpox epidemic, fears of attacks from neighboring Native American tribes, and a long-standing rivalry with the more affluent community of Salem Town, present-day Salem. Amid these simmering tensions, the Salem Witch Trials would be fueled by residents' suspicions of and resentment towards their neighbors, as well as their fear of outsiders. Now, did you know, in an effort to explain by scientific means of strange afflictions suffered by those bewitched Salem residents in 1692, a study published in Science magazine in 1976 cited the fungus ergot found in rye, wheat, and other cereals, which toxicologists say can cause symptoms such as delusions, vomiting, and muscle spasms. Now, in January 1692, 9-year-old Elizabeth Betty Paris and 11-year-old Abigail Williams, the daughter and niece of Samuel Paris, minister of Salem Village, began having fits, including violent contortions and uncontrollable outbursts of screaming. After a local doctor, William Griggs, diagnosed bewitchment, other young girls in the community began to exhibit similar symptoms. Now, how can a doctor diagnose if you're a witch? That's what I would like to know. Now, those including in these symptoms was Elizabeth Hubbard, Mary Wood, Ann Putnam Jr., Mercy Lewis, Elizabeth Hubbard, Mary Walcott, and Mary Warren. In late February, arrest warrants were issued for the Paris's Caribbean slave, Tituba, along with 2 other women, the homeless woman, homeless beggar, Sarah Good, and the poor elderly Sarah Osborne, whom the girls accused of bewitching them. Now, these 3 accused witches were brought before the magistrates, Jonathan Corwin and John Hawthorne, and questioned, even as their accusers appeared in the courtroom in a grand display of spasms, contortions, screaming, and withering. Way to put on the dramas, girl. Way to put on the dramas. And the Oscar goes to these girls. Though Good and Osborne denied their guilt, Tituba confessed, likely seeking to save herself from certain conviction by acting as an informer. She claimed there were other witches acting alongside her in service of the devil against the Puritans. As hysteria spread through the community and beyond into the rest of Massachusetts, a number of others were accused, including Martha Corey and Rebecca Nurse, both regarded as upstanding members of the church and community, and the 4-year-old daughter, yes, 4 years old, of Sarah Good. Like Tituba, several accused witches confessed and named still others, and the trials soon began to overwhelm the local justice system. In May 1692, the newly appointed governor of Massachusetts, William Phipps, ordered the establishment of a special court of oyer to hear and to decide on witchcraft cases for Suffolk Essex, and Middlesex countries. I can't talk. I'm sorry, guys. Now, presided over by judges including Hawthorne, Samuel Sewall, and William Stoughton. The court handed down its first conviction against Bridget Bishop on June 2nd. She was hanged 8 days later on what would become known as Gallows Hill in Salem town. 5 more people were hanged that July, 5 in August, and 8 more in September. In addition, 7 others, which were accused, died in jail, while the elderly Giles Corey, Martha's husband, was pressed to death by Stuns after he refused to enter a plea at his arraignment. Now, through the respected minister Cotton Mather though the respected minister Cotton Mather had warned of the dubious value of spectral evidence or testimony about dreams and visions, his concerns went largely unheeded. During the Salem Witch Trials, Increase Mather, president of Harvard College, and Cotton's father, later joined his son, urging that the standards of evidence for witchcraft must be equal to those for any other crime, concluding that it would be better that 10 suspected witches may escape than 1 innocent person be condemned. Amid waning public support for the trials, Governor Phipps dissolved the Court of Order and Tenure in October, and mandated that its successor disregard spectral evidence. Trials continued with dwindling intensity until early 1693, and by that, May Phipps had pardoned and released all those in prison on witchcraft charges. In January 1697, the Massachusetts General Court declared a day of fasting for the tragedy of the Salem Witch Trials. The court later deemed the trials unlawful, and the leading Justice Samuel Sewall publicly apologized for his role in the process. The damage to the community lingered, however. Even after Massachusetts Colony passed legislation restoring the good names of the condemned and providing financial restitution for their heirs in 1711. Indeed, the vivid and painful legacy of the Salem Witch Trials endured well into the 20th century, when Arthur Miller dramatized the events of 1692 in his play The Crucible in 1953, using them as an allegory for the anti-communist witch hunts led by Senator Joseph McCarthy in the 1950s. So guys, as y'all can see, my cuties, the Salem Witch Trial legacy lives on to this day. And my hopes is that the ones who were condemned and killed during these trials will find peace in knowing that their good names were restored. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Make sure you press that like button. If you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe bell and hit that notification bell so you know when my videos go up or when I go live. I love you guys. Smooches and hugs. Bye!